Could Blunty share screen with you? I miss his face. Aw. Thank you for a $50 donation, Mark Johnson. He misses your face, Blunty. I think you prefer to be the man behind the screen.
I appreciate you saying that, but yeah, I definitely appreciate not being on camera.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we stopped doing the news a little while back. I don't know how much we want to go into the reasons behind that. I'll say that for my part, each week we would sit down and be like, okay, what's the news this week? And more and more, it felt like we would get, a lot of times we'd get a story and we'd be like, well, is that an interesting story? And both of us would go, it doesn't seem that interesting. And sometimes there were stories that, like, if we were just interested in getting clicks, we would have been like, sensation! And we would have, like, faked reactions and stuff. And that's not our vibe. And so, like, each week we go, like, okay, what stories do we think are actually interesting that we can, like, provide some context and provide, some coverage of? And more and more, it seemed like either it was like, well, not a lot happened this week. And, like, obviously in the world of drones, a lot happened. Somewhere out there's drone-related news, but, like, it was just drone-related news that we didn't think was very interesting because of who we are as people. And we didn't want to cover it. And so then eventually we reached a point where we were like, should we keep doing this? Because, like, ultimately, if you don't feel a passion for what you're doing, then you're not going to make good content for your audience. So, and I still go back and forth. I'm still not sure whether what happened is that the world got less interesting or whether we just got less interested in doing the news, right? Like, I don't know. That's like, because what's interesting depends a lot on what you find interesting. And if you're just an excited and curious person, then you're just going to be excited about everything. And then you're going to be a really good news host. And then if you're just a bitter, cynical old fart, then you're going to be like, it's stupid. I don't want to talk about that. And so, like, yep. But then also the world has gotten shittier. So actually, I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, like, we would go to assemble the news, and before it was like, or I say, I would assemble the news, and, I would go through and pick out stories, and there was a lot of interesting things or new innovations or changes or new hardware or things that were, like, interesting enough that I felt like we could make a show out of, and we did talk a lot about that stuff. We did it for almost 5 years, but at the end, we were on hiatus because you were leaving for work and stuff, and then we came back after, like, a month, and I still had trouble finding stories that I thought were interesting enough to pull together after a month of being gone. Yeah. And that happened multiple times. And for me, like, I would rather have a set of stories I'm really excited about talking about. It's fun to discuss things with you like we do on here when we discuss things at random. And it's hard to do that when the news isn't exciting. So I don't know. I just I feel like we're not getting as many innovations. It's kind of the way it goes because the hobby's maturing a little bit. There's obviously a giant boom at the beginning of a hobby where everybody's building new stuff and technology's innovating and things are being created and studies are being done and, like, all this stuff's happening. And it feels like we sort of hit a plateau with all that new news. We would get submissions, and, like, 3/4 of submissions to the news email were old stories, regurgitated things from the last 1 month to 5 years that were just
stuff we'd already covered.
Up. Yeah, or seeing different projects or whatever, and it's like, do we restart rehashing things we've done 4 years ago, or do we just not do this?
We had certain policies about news that we didn't want to cover. Like, one of the things that I said was new products are not inherently newsworthy. Simply because a new product came out, that doesn't mean it's news. If a new product comes out and there is something unique about it, like the release of the 04 Lite would certainly be newsworthy, but and that cut out certain products. And then there were other types of stories that we didn't want, like a lot of the military content, the war footage. People would submit war videos, and I was like, as a drone pilot, I find this video very interesting, and I can think of a lot of things that I think about this and would like to say about it, but I don't want that to be what the news is about for reasons which I won't go into necessarily. But that wasn't. I wanted the news to be about the FPV hobby, and as you said, Blunty, we would come back from a month-long break or sometimes, and I'd be like, so what happened while I was gone? And you'd kind of be like, meh, not that much. And at some point we were just like, all right, well, I think it's time to call it. So anyway, yeah, every good thing comes to an end.